for this masterclass, I am going to be talking to you all about the episode planning feature that is in Captivate. Now, Captivate.fm is the podcast host that I use to host my podcast. Absolutely brilliant. There is so many features that Captivate has got within it. And for this particular masterclass, I just want to look solely at their episode planning feature. So what I love about this is that previously when I was with other hosts, I was finding that I was having to create my episode plans and what have you, either in a notebook or in an Excel spreadsheet or somewhere else, which is absolutely fine. But what I love about Captivate is that I can just do everything all in one program, or one platform, I should say. I can plan my episodes and then I can also create my episodes from within as well. When you go into Captivate, you go onto the side tab which says episode planning and then click on the button that says add an episode idea. Now, the first thing you're going to do is type in the idea. And what I love about this is that it could be, if you've already got the idea in your mind as to what you want the episode to be called, you can type that straight in, or you can just kind of go with a rough idea. So I know that in a few weeks, I am going to be having a guest on to talk all about email marketing in regards to podcasting. So at the moment, the idea title, that's all I'm going to write in, is email marketing regarding podcast marketing or podcasting. It's all I've got in. Email marketing regarding podcasting. And in my production notes, what I like to write down when I'm getting guests on are just some pointers of questions or topics that I might want to chat about. So with email marketing, what I first of all want to start off is, what is email marketing? Because whenever I interview people, I like to assume that within my audience, there is either going to be somebody who knows nothing about the topic that we're talking about, or there are going to be people who want to take it right back to the beginning, just so that we're all working from exactly the same definition. So if I'm doing an episode about email marketing regarding podcasting, my first question that I want to ask my guest is, what is email marketing? Let's make sure that we are all singing from the same hymn sheet. But then obviously what I don't want to do is then start talking about email marketing in terms of, any kind of business or e-commerce or anything like that. I want to bring it back to podcasting. So I think a next good question for me would be something along the lines of, should every podcaster have an email list? And then let's follow that up with a why question. Now, I'm not saying that all of these questions I'm definitely going to ask my guest. And as I've said on previous episodes of Lazy Girl's Guide to Podcasting, sometimes I like to just have prompts for questions. I don't like to have necessarily a set list, a set script. But that's just because of the way that I like to interview people. I like things to be more of, more conversational. But the good thing with having some questions is that if the episode does run a little bit dry, if the conversation does go a little bit dry, or you're not really sure where to go with next, you've got those background questions, or you've got that background research, I should say, for questions to move the conversation forward. So my questions so far I've got are, what is email marketing? Should every podcaster have an email list, and why? Then what else could we ask them? Probably something around how to set up an email list would be a good one, and also how to send emails that readers, not listeners, that readers are encouraged to click through to listen to episodes, because we know that with emails, we know that open rates are not very high. We also know that click-through rates are not very high. So how can we actually increase that? So I think that'd be a really, really good question. And then I always like tips as well. So what are your top tips for podcasters to grow their mailing list? Now, I'm not saying that these are definitely going to be my final questions. Some of them are not the best grammar, the best use of grammar. But as I said, it's when I'm in the flow of the conversation, when I'm in the flow of the interview, I've got these questions there. So that's great. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions there. Now, if I scroll down in Captivate, it now asks me for episode details. So this is just anything that I want to include that might maybe jog my memory. It might be that I actually want to start drafting some show notes, because it also gives me this shortcode here of episode idea details. So then if I am starting to draft my show notes here, what I can then do when I go to create the episode show notes is I can just include that shortcode and it will copy these details straight across. So that just saves work. It's quite a lazy girl way of doing things, isn't it? It's just nice and easy. I'm not going to write anything there at the moment, but that's purely because I tend to write my show notes after I've created my episodes. We all know that I'm a massive fan of Summarize, and I use Summarize to create my show notes. So I do my show notes very much afterwards. But what I do love as well is I come down and guest bookings, and it is Sarah who I have got booked in to do this wonderful podcast interview with in a few weeks. So guest bookings, I'm just going to click on Sarah's name and it is then going to show me where she is booked in. So I'm going to click on that and then I'm going to press add booking. Now, all of that information that Sarah has given me when she signed up to guest on the show is already stored in Captivate's system. So if I click on the I here, then you'll see that the information has all popped up. Now, the absolute beauty of this is that when I come to write the show notes, this information I can just use a short code and it will automatically be inputted into the show notes, which again is a lazy girl's way of doing things. It's so low energy for me, which is brilliant. So I pop that there. Now, if I have any research links, say if there is an article that I wanted to talk about. So I went on somebody's podcast last week and we were talking about a topic for podcasting based on a LinkedIn article that this individual had found. So what they did was in this add research link, they actually inputted the LinkedIn article and then they sent these pre-show notes across to me so that I could have a read of the article before I went on to their podcast. Now, I'm not going to do that right at this moment in time because I don't have any research links that I want to add. But again, I think that's quite a nice little add-on there. And again, when you come to writing your show notes, you can use the short codes. So you don't need to bother entering the additional research links. And then all I'm going to do is hit create episode idea and give it not even 2 seconds. There it is. That is my episode all planned out. And then what's beautiful about it is that when I come to creating that particular episode, I just went back into edit and I can come down and I can click convert to episode. And what the software will then do is it will take all of that information. It will take the guest booking information, the episode details, the production notes, the idea title. And what it will do is it will move it from the episode idea or episode planning section of Captivate over to the episode section, where I will then be able to upload the audio, create my show notes and schedule it. So beautiful and so easy. I absolutely love it. And what I also love about episode planning is that, you can see all of the different ideas. I've got 19 ideas at the moment, just scribbled into the episode planning version of my Captivate. And there's just so many ideas. And what I love about this is just every so often I'll be reading something or I might think something and I might think to myself, oh my gosh, I need to create an episode about that. Now, some of these are much more padded out than others. We can click into a couple of them and you can see there's one here, Podcasting 2.0. Literally all it says is create an episode about what Podcasting 2.0 is. So that was literally just, a very, very short idea that I had. But then I've had other ones. I'm trying to think, where might I have a good example? Obviously, this one again there's absolutely nothing in it. It's literally just a title, how I managed to rank an Apple podcast for podcasting keywords. That is something that definitely needs to be fleshed out. But you get the idea that, here's one that I wrote quite a few lines about, using your podcast as therapy. That's a little bit more fleshed out. But the point is that you can literally just put titles in and just keyword ideas, or you can really go to town and write out entire scripts if that is how you plan your episodes. And I just really enjoy that because I think that it's really useful to just have everything in one place.